Hey guys, this is chapter 10, section 2 on friction, gravity, and elastic forces. So when you talk about friction, it's the force that exists between two surfaces and the forces that they exert on each other. And the force of friction acts in opposition to the direction of the motion. And the strength of the force of friction depends on the types of surfaces, if they're smooth or if they're rough, and how hard they're actually pushing together. There's 4 different types of friction. The first one is static friction, and that's the friction that acts on objects that are not moving at all. There's sliding friction, and that occurs whenever you have two solid surfaces sliding over each other. You've got rolling friction, when it occurs when an object has wheels and it rolls over another surface, and then fluid friction. And that occurs when a solid object moves through fluid, like when you're surfing and you're going through a fluid. Also, when you're flying, because the airplane flying through air is considered a fluid. So what affects gravitational force between two objects? Gravitational force, gravity is a force, and we know that it pulls objects towards each other. And mass is the measure of matter in an object. So gravitational force exerted on a person or an object at the surface is known as weight. We had this here, and it shows us that the weight on the moon differs. It's smaller than the weight on Earth because the moon has less gravitational force than the Earth. The masses, however, are the same. So gravity is just the measure of mass, the amount of gravitational pull times the mass. A couple of things have a bearing on that. If the size of the objects are small, they're going to have less gravitational forces than when the size of the objects are bigger. Here, these are going to have more gravitational forces acting between the objects. And if the objects are further away from each other, they do have a gravitational pull, but it diminishes when it's further away. So what happens during free fall? During free fall, this is when gravity is the only thing working on it, meaning that this happens in a vacuum. There's no air resistance. So two things that may have fallen at different rates before now will fall and hit the ground at the exact same rate because there's no air resistance working on it. So air resistance, what is it? It's when you have the upward force that works in opposition to gravity. So if you have a leaf, there's a lot of air resistance because it has a larger surface area. And when you have an acorn, it has a little bit of air resistance because it has a smaller surface area. But the same amount of gravity is working on both of those things, both on the leaf and on the acorn. A projectile is something that's thrown. And it is this thing here in an arch. We did this during our marble launcher lab. And both the red and yellow ball hit the ground at the same time in a projectile. One with the arch and the one that's going straight down. So when is matter considered to be elastic? Elastic forces would be like compression and tension. If you have something that is being squeezed or pushes matter together, that's going to be compression. And if you have something that stretches or pulls, like this fishing line, that would be tension. So those are considered elastic forces. And that's it.